In this video, we're going to go over how to evaluate what's called an expression. So first, we got to know what an expression actually is. Okay, so an expression, it's not quite an equation, which is what we use a lot of times in algebra. An expression is just it's numbers and variables that are grouped together. Okay, so it's kind of like an equation, but there's one main difference. Expressions, you're not going to see any equal signs. Okay, so expressions have no equal signs. Okay, which means we're not solving, we're just simplifying, we're evaluating. Okay, that's the major difference between an expression versus an equation. Now, when we're doing these, we do have to follow mathematical rules. I'm sure you've heard of this before, but we follow what's called order of operations. Okay, and I'm sure you've heard this acronym before as well, PEMDAS. It's taught a lot of times in like middle school or elementary school. It may not have been one like this before. PE, and then M and D I'm going to put on the same line, and A and S I'm going to put on the same line. So according to this, the way you have to work through a problem is you start off with whatever is inside parentheses. Okay, and then you can work your way to E, which is exponents. Okay, and the reason why I put M and D on the same line is because multiplication and division happen at the same time. Okay, so multiply / divide. And the timing, like I said, is this at the same time. So we always work from left to right. Okay, same with adding and subtracting. They work at the same time. Oops. Okay, and so we always go from left to right. Okay, so that's the order we have to follow when simplifying questions. Okay, now the questions we're looking at today is I'm going to give you guys an expression that involves x's and y's, but then I'm going to tell you what their actual like number value is. Okay, so for example, if I were to say to evaluate 3x minus 5y plus 10, but then I'm going to say evaluate it for x is equal to -2, y is equal to -1. So essentially, I'm telling you what the values are. I just want to know what is this simplified to once you plug those numbers in. Okay. Now, the best way to approach these questions is before you do anything, just go through, replace your variables with open sets of parentheses. That way we can kind of stay organized and we can see exactly what's going on. Then all you gotta do is put the appropriate number in the correct location. So we know x is -2, so I want to put that in there. And we know y is -1, so I want to put that in there. All right, so now we have to follow the order of operations. Now, step 1 says parentheses first. So you look inside the parentheses, and if there's anything you can do, you got to start off with that. So looking in the first set of parentheses, there's only a -2. Can't really do anything with that. It's kind of just sitting there by itself. Same thing over here. The -1 just kind of sits there by itself. Okay, so can't really do anything with parentheses. Okay, going on to the next one, exponents. We don't have any exponents in this question. So we go on to the next one. Now our multiply and divide. Remember, multiplication and division happens at the same time, so you work your way from left to right. Okay, so I'm going to do this one first. Okay, 3 times -2 gives us -6. And then I can do the next one. -5 times -1. Negative times a negative is a positive. But then we didn't do anything with that 10 on the end. Remember, that's adding. That's the next step. So if you're not doing anything with it, just bring it straight down. Now we're at the last step where now we can add and subtract. And again, you work from left to right. Okay, so I'm going to combine these numbers first. -6 plus 5. Think of it like positive means you have money, right? So you have $5, but then you're spending $6. So you're going to owe somebody $1, -1. Okay, and again, we still haven't done with that plus 10, so we'll just bring it straight down. And now we can do this last step. You have $10, but then you spent 1. So you have a leftovers of 9. And then we're done. So that's how you need to approach these questions. Do one thing at a time. Try not to rush it because that's when mistakes happen. Okay, so try to do one piece at a time. Okay, let me go through one more example with you, and then I want you to try one on your own. Okay? All right, so if I give you a question that looks a little bit different, it's going to look kind of strange. Let's say go with 10 minus x squared plus y divided by 2. And I want you to evaluate for x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 2. Now the weird thing in this question is that division symbol. Typically when you get to high school math, you don't really see that symbol too much. You see it once in a while, but not a lot. So let's be careful. So go through. Let's go and replace the variables with open parentheses. Okay, and then we can plug in the numbers in their appropriate position. So x is 3 and y is 2. Okay, now we work through. So parentheses first. So again, I'm looking here. I can't really do anything with just a 3. I'm looking here. I can't do anything with just a 2. Okay, so move on to exponents. This time, we do have an exponent. Right, so we can actually do something with this. Okay, so 3 squared, that means 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, we're only do one thing at a time, so everything else just bring straight down. So that bring that 10 down, that minus sign is still there. Okay, so bring that straight down. And then we had plus 2 divided by 2. Okay, so we dealt with exponents. Now we deal with multiplication and division from left to right. We don't have any multiplication, but we do have a division problem in here. Okay, so we can focus in on this section real quick. Okay, so 2 divided by 2 gives us 1. And again, bring everything else down, so that plus sign, bring it straight down. Bring the 9 down, bring the minus sign, bring the 10. So bring everything straight down. All right, now last step, now we can do the adding and subtracting. Let's say we do these ones first. 10 minus 9 gives us 1. And then we could bring the other one down. And finally, 1 plus 1 gives us 2. Okay, so one thing at a time. Try not to rush it, because I don't want you guys to make mistakes. All right, now I want you guys to try one on your own. Okay, so I'm going to give you 5x minus 3y, and I want you to evaluate for x equals -3, y equals -2. Okay, go ahead and pause the video at this point, work through it, and then press play, and you can check your answer.